I said about it, like, I like to move around. Is it possible for me to just take this off for a second?
I don't know.
There we go. All right.
Right.
Here we go. I'm breaking the water. Well, thank you all so much for having me, and welcome back from Japan. It's one of my favorite places, but you're going to be out of commission for a couple of weeks. Well, actually, it's interesting. I brought my book today, and I talk a little bit about my first trip to Japan. Did you guys ever hear about the Great Quake in 2011? The biggest quake ever? I happened to be there. And my mom, being a mom, freaked out. And she called Fox News in Birmingham. Fox News interviewed me, and it's hilarious. But anyway, the story's in my book, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. But in short, you all, I'm tired. That's why I'm running. I'm so tired of us being dead last in education, economic opportunity, in healthcare. We deserve better. We deserve better leaders. We deserve leaders that actually want to work for us, right? That live here in the state, that know the branches of government, yes. That know that when you take two sides off of a pentagon, you get a triangle, right? We deserve better. And that is why I'm running for office. And I want to share just a little bit about me and then flip it back to you and really have a discussion today. So, in short, again, born and raised Alabamian. I call Birmingham home. My mom is a teacher there, and my dad was in the Army. And we grew up all over the world: California, Oklahoma, Washington State, Germany, and that was all before 3rd grade. So, a lot of traveling. But I came back to Alabama and I excelled in school, thanks to my mom. We were zoned for failing schools, but she fought hard and got me into gifted programs, got me into Alabama School of Fine Arts, and that propelled me to University of Alabama. Roll Tide? You roll Tides? All right. Class of 2004. And I graduated with honors, but I could not find a job in the state of Alabama. I would have been underemployed had I stayed, like many of my friends and colleagues from school. So I picked up and I moved to New York City, and I built a career in corporate supply chain and rose through the ranks at Fortune 500 companies like L'Oreal, Louis Vuitton, and then finally Whirlpool. But I also found my calling in public service. So volunteering, joining the boards of non-governmental organizations. I joined the board of Bronx Community Pride Center, advocating for homeless and LGBT youth in the South Bronx. I then moved into harm reduction, fighting the opioid crisis, building capacity from coast to coast. And then when the pandemic hit, I took the opportunity to move back home. And I did the same thing. I joined the board of University of Alabama Alumni Association, advocating for cost-effective access to education for all people. And then something dramatic happened last year. I was driving through the state of Michigan. I was falsely arrested by the Michigan State Police, tortured by those police. My driver's license was confiscated for about 2.5 months. And I fought for the body cam. And after 5.5 months, I got it. And what we found was that the troopers were trying to plant drugs in my car. They wanted a total ruin. It became a national news story, and it became the subject of my book, Don't Flush. And it was that moment in which I realized it was time for me to do something from the inside. Because I had spent 20 years advocating for policy, right? Healthcare, public health, homelessness, food insecurity, volunteering. But I needed to be in a position where I could actually write the laws, administer that justice, because every single branch of government failed me when I was falsely arrested. The police failed me, the internal investigation. Governor Whitmer failed me. The judge that threw out my case because the police sent a fake video to him. They all failed me. So now I want to be in a position to fix these issues. And I started speaking to Alabamians about 6 months ago, traveling the state, calling. And what I learned is it's not just our criminal justice system that's problematic and broken, it is everything, everything. And it starts with education. That is what changes lives. Healthcare and economy. And let me walk you through each of the key pillars of this campaign, and you'll see them on your fans. We'll start with education. Education breaks the poverty cycle. And we have not been investing in education for generations here in our state. And I just think about my own family. My grandfather went to a 3-room Roosevelt School in Prattville, Alabama. They eventually added a 4th room, okay? A 3-room school, 8th grade education that he invested in my mother. She then went on to Alabama State University, graduated there, went on, advanced her education, earned her master's, met my dad, they invested in me. Now I'm running for office. That's how it works. It takes generations. We've got to start now. And we won't see the results overnight, but we've got to start now. We've got to make college more affordable, and we've got to get our per pupil spending up and the quality of education up. Our quality of education is something like 38 out of 50. Our education attainment rankings 45 out of 50, meaning folks just don't complete the program, right? It's all cyclical. The second step, healthcare. So, we just saw the big beautiful bill, right? I went up to Washington and protested that bill, Representative Waters and other representatives from Georgia. We've got to have a fighter in the Senate that is going to fight for Medicaid expansion, Medicare expansion, access to maternal care, fight for reproductive health, health for all people, not special health, all people, including our trans brothers and sisters. And then finally, economic opportunity. So people in this state feel like they are being left behind. It's not fair. It's not fair. We have incentives for all of these businesses to come into the state, right? Programs for them, tax incentives. What about the people? People work for businesses. So this campaign is about supporting unions. It's about job training programs, creating a pipeline of success for everybody, whether that's college or going into trades. It's about making participating in the workforce possible. So I think about childcare. In some cases, it makes more sense for a parent to stay home. It's so expensive. We're dealing with elder care. So I have a 97-year-old great aunt. At that age, $10,000 a month is the quote for full-time care, okay? So it's almost better for someone to stay home with them. That person can then not participate in the workforce. So these are the problems that Alabamians are dealing with. Affordable housing. How do we create those incentives so we can get more affordable housing? How do we incentivize people to go into the businesses we do need in the state? How do we marry the talent that's coming out of our great universities with jobs? In my case, I had to leave the state to build a career. So we actually export a lot of really good talent to Atlanta, to New York, to Dallas. How do we get those people to stay here? I think about my situation. The state invested about 15 years in my education. That's expensive, even though we don't spend as much as we should. That's a lot of money. Then I left. So right when I was starting to give back in terms of income taxes, buying my first home, my first real car, I did that out of state. How do we create a captive audience of folks here in state? They want to stay here. They have opportunities. They have health care. Their children have opportunities. So that's what this campaign is about. It is about those people-centric issues. I've spent the last couple of months polling Alabamians. This is what they care about. We're going to take this to the polls in November next year. And I'm confident if we show out just like we did in November 4th throughout the nation, we can win this election, focusing on the issues that Alabamians care about. So thank you so much. My name is Dakarai Larriett, your next senator for Alabama. I would love to answer any questions you might have, and I also have my book here today, which tells my story of false arrest and what I want to do after, right? So one of the things I talk a lot about is the Motorist Bill of Rights. I've already started to draft the legislation that I think can change lives throughout the nation and protect all of us. So I would be very happy to discuss that, any questions you might have, and I'll be here all day. Any questions on your end, any concerns? Anybody going to the game today? I didn't get a ticket. I'm looking for a good bar or tailgate, so let me know. Well, I will be here, guys. Thank you so much for coming out on game day on Saturday. This is amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause for supporting this process. Thank you so much.